There is a school, no address, no website, no tuition invoice, that has been running for over 1,000 years. It employs transfiguration professors and ghost historians. It feeds 1,000 students 3 meals a day from a kitchen staffed entirely by unpaid magical labor. And somehow nobody has ever asked who is paying for any of it. Until now. Let's start with the building itself. Hogwarts is not a school that happens to be in a castle. It is a castle, ancient, sprawling, perched on a Scottish loch, honeycombed with moving staircases and self-repairing stonework. In the real world, maintaining a historic structure of that scale runs between 3 and 8 million pounds per year, just for the stonework, just for the walls. But here is the wrinkle. Hogwarts doesn't rot the way a normal castle rots. The enchantments that hold the place together are presumably self-reinforcing, which means the maintenance question isn't just about scaffolding, it's about who maintains the magic itself. And that is a very different kind of bill. So before we get to the total, let's build the budget line by line, because the number at the end of this is going to surprise you. First line item, the people who actually teach. Hogwarts runs roughly 13 core subjects: transfiguration, potions, defense against the dark arts, herbology, astronomy, and so on, each with a dedicated professor. In the UK, a senior specialist teacher earns somewhere between 45 and 65,000 pounds a year. Hogwarts professors are not generalists. They are world-class experts in disciplines that don't exist anywhere else. If we estimate 15 faculty members, including Dumbledore, McGonagall, Snape, Sprout, and the rest of the canonical roster, at an average of 70,000 pounds each, you are already looking at just over 1 million pounds a year. Before benefits, before pension, before Dumbledore's presumably significant leadership premium. Then there is the supporting staff. Hagrid is the groundskeeper and care of magical creatures professor. Filch runs maintenance. Madame Pomfrey runs the hospital wing solo, which, given the injury rate at this school, is extraordinary. Add those roles in, along with administrative staff, and you are probably looking at another 500,000 pounds in total compensation. Now, food. 1,000 students eating 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, for roughly 36 weeks of the school year. UK boarding schools typically spend between 2 and 3,000 pounds per pupil per year on catering. At the low end, that is 2 million pounds annually just to keep students fed. Except, and this is canon, Hogwarts employs over 100 house elves in the kitchens. House elves receive no wages. They receive no benefits. They work voluntarily, or at least that is the official position, which carries its own moral weight we'll return to. From a pure budget standpoint, the labor cost of the kitchen is effectively zero, which is either the most efficient catering operation in the UK or the darkest footnote in any school's financial statements. With elf labor factored in, food costs collapse to ingredients and supplies alone, probably somewhere around 700,000 to 1 million pounds per year, a remarkable number for a school of this size. The Hogwarts Express deserves its own line, a heritage steam locomotive running a dedicated route from London King's Cross to a station in rural Scotland, once a year in each direction, with several hundred students aboard. Heritage steam operations in the UK cost between 200,000 and 500,000 pounds annually just to keep a single locomotive running. Add the carriages, the maintenance of a private rail line, and the staff, and the Express is probably a 300,000 pound annual commitment. For 2 trips. Now let's talk about security. A residential school of 1,000 students would normally spend between 500,000 and 1.5 million pounds per year on security staffing alone. Hogwarts replaces all of that with enchantments, magical creatures, and, in one memorable year, Dementors. Dementors, as far as the canon tells us, do not draw a salary. They feed on human happiness and require no payroll entry. The ethical audit on that decision is a separate document entirely. Let's estimate Hogwarts' approach to security at roughly 200,000 pounds per year. the cost of maintaining the enchantments and the occasional magical creature. Compared to any real institution, that is extraordinary value. Compared to any humane standard, it raises questions. Putting it all together, faculty and staff compensation around £1.5 million, food and catering supplies around 800,000, castle maintenance, accounting for some magic-assisted reduction in normal costs, let's call it 2 million. The Hogwarts Express, 300,000. Security, 200,000. Add curriculum materials, medical supplies, library acquisitions, Quidditch equipment, and general operating overhead, and you arrive at a total somewhere between 8 and 12 million pounds per year. The realistic operating budget lands closer to 10 million pounds annually. For context, a Forbes analysis once took a similar line-by-line approach and landed at approximately $160 million. That figure included some aggressive assumptions about magical infrastructure. Our estimate, adjusted for UK costs and magical labor efficiencies, is considerably more conservative, and we think more honest. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Because Hogwarts charges no tuition. J.K. Rowling confirmed this explicitly. The school is free to attend. Every student who walks through those doors, regardless of family wealth, pays nothing. Stop and let that land for a moment. 10 million pounds per year. Zero tuition revenue. Someone somewhere is writing a very large check. For comparison, Eton College, the most famous boarding school in England, charges roughly £52,000 per pupil per year with about 1,300 students. That generates around £67 million in annual tuition revenue. Hogwarts, charging nothing, gives up the equivalent of £50 million or more in potential income every single year, by choice. The official answer is the Ministry of Magic. Rowling has confirmed that the ministry funds Hogwarts the way a government funds a state school. In the UK, the government spends roughly £7,000 per pupil per year at state secondary level. At that rate, 1,000 Hogwarts students would generate £7 million, surprisingly close to our operating estimate. It's possible the ministry funds Hogwarts at roughly state school levels, and magic makes up the difference in efficiency. The house elves, the self-maintaining enchantments, the Dementors as security, they aren't just canon details. They're the school's cost structure. But that explanation has a problem. The Ministry of Magic, as depicted throughout the series, is not a stable institution. It gets captured by Death Eaters. It spreads disinformation. It fires professors and installs ministry-approved curricula on a whim. If the ministry holds the purse strings, it also holds enormous leverage over what gets taught and who gets to teach it. There's another possibility. Hogwarts itself may hold a substantial endowment, accumulated wealth from over 1,000 years of operation, from donations by prominent wizarding families, from the estates of former students. A Hogwarts-style endowment could plausibly generate £5 to £20 million per year in investment returns alone. An endowment works like a permanent savings account. The principal sits untouched, and the school lives off the interest and investment gains every year. Oxford's colleges have operated this way for centuries. The Hogwarts founders could have built the same structure, and if they did, the ministry's funding might not be the safety net. It might just be a top-up. The truth is, probably a blend. Ministry allocation for baseline operations, a founding endowment generating supplemental income, donations from prominent wizarding families, the Malfoys, the Blacks, the Potters, who have strong reasons to keep the school running or to influence how it runs, and 1,000 years of accumulated assets that never appear on any page of the series, but almost certainly exist. Hogwarts' balance sheet is the most interesting document in the wizarding world that nobody has ever seen. What strikes you when you actually run these numbers is not the cost. It's the intention behind the structure. Someone designed Hogwarts to be free. Not free as in cheap, free as in accessible, regardless of who your parents are or how much gold is in your vault. Harry Potter arrives at Hogwarts with almost nothing. A vault of inherited gold, yes, but no school connections, no social capital, no sense of the world he's entering. He leaves with a first-class magical education. The financing model, whatever it actually is, was built to make that possible. And here is the thing that stays with you. We open by noting that Hogwarts has no tuition invoice, no website, no financial transparency of any kind. A school running on £10 million a year with zero published accounts. In the real world, that would be a scandal. In the wizarding world, it's just Tuesday. But the question underneath the spreadsheet, the one that the numbers can't fully answer, is this. A school that commits to teaching every magical child, regardless of means, for over 1,000 years, has made a choice that most real institutions have never been willing to make. The funding mechanism is a mystery. The intention is not. Hogwarts costs around £10 million a year to run, and whoever has been paying that bill quietly for 1,000 years, they decided a long time ago that magic should belong to everyone who has it. That's not an accounting entry. That's a value system. And now you know exactly what it costs to hold that value.